The brand new 13th Doctor is here. A new season of Doctor Who is upon us. What do I think so far? Welcome to the very first episode of the year, because of technical issues last week, of the Doctor Who discussion, formerly known as the Doctor Who breakdown. I changed it to the Doctor Who discussion because last year I was told by subscribers that I gave away a little bit too much in my titles and my discussion, so I'm trying to be more conscious of that this year. So from now on, the series is called the Doctor Who discussion. But yeah, stick around and I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel so far. Hi, how are you? It's great to see you. I'm Razman's Reality, and I am here, as I just stated, with another video on my discussion about the first two episodes of Doctor Who. The reason that it's the first two episodes, as I said, I tried to go live last week with episode 1. Didn't work out, so we're doing a recorded video this week for me to get my opinions on the first two episodes out, and then next week I will try to go live again, and if I run into more issues, I'll do some pre-planning over the weekend so I can make sure that these continue to get out the day after the show airs during the week on a Monday. So I'll do some more pre-planning before Monday next week, do some private broadcasting, trying to get the live to work. If it doesn't work out, then we'll continue to do recorded videos. So if this is your first time here and film, TV, and comics is your passion, then please consider hitting that subscribe button and ringing that bell notification icon so that you don't miss out on any of the future geektastic fun. The way I'm going to structure this video, since we're covering two episodes, is I'm filming this first part before actually watching episode 2, so that episode 1 is the most fresh in my mind, and that way when we talk about The Woman Who Fell to Earth, it's the only episode that I'll be able to reference from. And then I'm going to stop this recording, come back and do a separate raw recording, and then mesh the two together for episode 2. So, The Woman Who Fell to Earth. My impressions of The Woman Who Fell to Earth are, from the very opening scene, you see what Chris Chibnall was talking about in terms of this being a new era of Doctor Who. He wasn't necessarily just talking about Jodie Whittaker, because the first scene that we get of the show is on one of the companions, and what we see is that the show is now done with anamorphic lenses. So it's anamorphic structure, which is the same structure that they use for film instead of 16:9 for TV. We see that it's much more vivid coloring, and we see that it very much feels like it could be happening down the street from you. So what Chris Chibnall did with The Woman Who Fell to Earth is establish the fact that if you've seen his previous work on things like Broadchurch and other things that he's done, you're going to love what he's done with Doctor Who, because this is a totally, completely different visual style, much more cinematic and much more realistic in terms of stylization. So that's the very first thing that jumped out at me, was just the overall different visual representation of the show. And the next thing that we are put forth is that each of the companions really is their own person. But the difference this time is that the two main companions have a prior relationship with one another, so when they're thrown together with the Doctor later on in the episode, they don't feel like they got dragged into her adventures. As a matter of fact, later on in the episode, we even get a line which states from the companions, "Do you believe she's an alien?" "Yes, I do." "You know what? I think I do too." So it wasn't something where they just automatically believed what was going on around them. They actually took the time to digest what was going on around them and see if this was something they want to participate in. Yes, a mistake happened by the male companion, and that kind of forced them to deal with the fallout, but once the fallout was dealt with, they didn't have to continue walking around with the Doctor and continue to be a part of what she was doing. So by them establishing that factor before the end of the episode, I thought was very, very different and very, very telling for the message that they're trying to get across to Doctor Who. The fact that the companions also have a prior relationship with one another makes them feel much more at ease on screen. You already from episode 1 feel like, okay, I can like Yaz and I can like Bram, I think is his name. I apologize, I'm doing this from memory over a week ago, so I might get his name wrong and I might correct myself when I go see episode 2, so I do apologize for that. But you like Graham and you like Yaz, and you immediately feel like, okay, I can get behind these two, and that was really important. And then Graham's grandfather, and the fact that it's his step grandfather, and there was a struggle between those two characters, and you find out the reason why he is a companion is everything that goes down in this episode. So I really liked the way that the companions are presented. You know right from the very beginning why Chris Chibnall and the creators went this route with the team, and you feel like, okay, in this instance, Three Companions is, yes, an homage back to Classic Who, but it's also something that can really work, at least in the beginning, for this Doctor. And you even get sympathy for a fourth companion that doesn't stick around in The Woman Who Fell to Earth. So I really, really enjoyed everything about that aspect. When the Doctor arrives, you get the typical things of the Doctor saying, you know, too much is going on with me right now, my brain isn't there. It takes her the entire episode to realize who she is, and the whole episode is her trying to fight this thing that's going on in episode 1 and trying to piece it together while still trying to piece who she is together. And I thought of all the pilots that we've seen, be it Rose, be it the Christmas episode, Christmas Invasion with David Tennant, be it Matt Smith's episode, which I cannot remember the name of, but it's still to this day my favorite pilot of all of the Doctor's first appearances, and Deep Breath with Peter Capaldi. I thought that this one was the second best, because what they've done with the Doctor here is channel her outgoingness and the fact that she is just like excited about everything, excited about who she is, and excited about her brain and the way her brain works, and actually having the line later on in the episode, I'm the Doctor and I am responsible for keeping all the things melded together in the universe the way that they're supposed to be. Like, that's not the exact line, but that's the message that she got across on that scene with the main antagonist at the end of the episode. I really think that this Doctor is very human, and I like it. And the fact that she's a woman was not a central focus at all in the episode. So those that were afraid that that was going to be the case now know that they don't have to be afraid of that whatsoever, because it was mentioned once, and when it was mentioned in a very funny joke of, why are you calling me madam? Well, because you're a woman. Am I? Oh yes, now I remember. You'll have to forgive me. Half an hour ago I was a white-haired Scotsman. So, you know, everything I thought was really handled really well. I've always loved Jodie's acting ability. Broadchurch is one of my favorite shows, so I'm really excited what she's going to bring to the character. I can't comment too much about who the Doctor is because we've only had the pilot episode at this point in the video. We'll have to see what happens in episode 2 here in a moment. But again, because she makes her sonic screwdriver and explains it, because she's very practical in the way she handles the antagonist and the woman who fell to Earth. She's very self-sufficient and very sure of herself, which I really, really like. And even the trope about women caring more about clothes perhaps than men, and clothes maybe being a bigger deal to a woman and how they're going to look at the end of the episode when her costume debuts was even treated as a joke. So the fact that she's a woman is just a fact that you see on screen. It's not a central focus of the episode. So I'm a big fan of how everything is turning out so far. I will be interested though to see how much they give the Doctor to do, because as usual with a pilot, it is more about these are the characters, this is the direction for the show. You don't have time to just focus on one character. And in this particular episode, The Woman Who Fell to Earth, we got a focus on 4 different characters. 3 characters by the end of the episode that are going to be sticking around with the Doctor. So it's 4 total characters on a regular basis, 5 in The Woman Who Fell to Earth, plus the main villain. So there was a lot going on here, and as such, we didn't get much time with the Doctor. So I'm hoping episode 2 is a very Doctor-centric episode so I can talk to you more about her betrayal. So with that, that is mostly my thoughts on episode 1. I really, really liked it. Make sure that when you leave your comments down below, you structure your comment as paragraph 1 is about episode 1 and paragraph 2 will be about episode 2. With that, through the magic of editing, right now, here are my thoughts on episode 2 of series 11. Episode 2, The Ghost Monument. The interesting thing here is that this picks up right where the first episode left off, which I didn't go into in the first part of the review because, as I say, I was trying to be as spoiler-free as possible. But considering what happened here, I think it's pertinent that I did mention that the Doctor never had her TARDIS in the entirety of the first episode. So the end of the first episode ends with her developing a way to track the TARDIS and supposedly land where the TARDIS is supposed to be. And then at the end of the episode, The Woman Who Fell to Earth, she and the 3 companions, are floating in space. So this episode picks up with the Doctor and Yaz in one spaceship, and Graham and Ryan, Graham being the grandfather and Ryan being the young man whose name I couldn't remember in the first part of the review, they are in another spaceship. And what they discover is that the 2 pilots aboard these spaceships are in the middle of something, some kind of conflict. I won't spoil what it is again, but they're in the middle of doing something with one another, and they think that the Doctor and Yaz and Graham and Ryan are there to sabotage them, to throw them off their path. Meanwhile, as the Doctor and her companions are discovering all this happening, they talk to the person who is responsible for this activity that the pilots are partaking in via the hologram, and they learn that the prize that these pilots are after is known as the Ghost Monument. After some negotiating, the Doctor gets the look of the Ghost Monument revealed, and the Ghost Monument ends up being the TARDIS. So this is all about what happens with these two pilots and how they interact and what they discover about one another and their reasoning for being on this journey together. And I apologize if you hear talking in the background. I'm doing my best to talk over it. But anyway, they discover why they're on this journey together, and they discover what they mean to each other and what they're actually there for. And the Doctor ends up with the TARDIS at the end. And the TARDIS has gone through a major facelift. I mean, we're talking every Doctor has a new TARDIS, with the exception of Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant, of course, because Eccleston only played 1 year and they kept the same TARDIS with the Russell T Davies era and made it Tennant's TARDIS as well. But when Matt Smith got the TARDIS, his was different. When Peter Capaldi got the TARDIS, his was different. Jodie Whittaker, her TARDIS is different as well. Continuing the theme of the classic series, with each Doctor getting a slightly different version of the TARDIS. The interesting thing about this TARDIS is that what we saw with the Doctor creating the sonic screwdriver and the woman who fell to Earth is very much continued here with the Ghost Monument. The TARDIS has made itself look as though it was created from Earth. It's got very earthly tones. It's got some throwback looks to it. It features an hourglass to represent the time that's passing as you go through time. But it also has, of course, some very modern amenities. So the look of the TARDIS is absolutely fan-freaking-tastic. Well done, the BBC, with the look of the TARDIS, for sure. As far as everything else that happened in the episode, I very much did get my wish, because this episode is very much about the Doctor being more sure of herself. She's very sure of herself. She takes control of the situation, and it's bang, 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 bang throughout the entire episode. These are the aliens. This is what we're facing. This is how it affected the two pilot guest characters in the episode. This is how I'm going to get Yaz, Graham, and Ryan out of this situation. She very quickly discovers, as I mentioned, that the antagonist of the episode, the person behind this central focus that the pilots are on, was a hologram. She's very, very much the Doctor in this episode, which is very poignant, because at the end of the episode, when something happens and TARDIS doesn't appear to her and the companions right away, she actually, for a moment, doubts herself and thinks that she let the companions down, which proves that the Doctor once again realizes that she needs the TARDIS and needs people around her, and it's not all about her. So she became very Gallifreyan and very human in that moment, and just everything we know about the Doctor and who the Doctor is 100% reinforced in the course of this episode. So I enjoyed the Ghost Monument actually far more than I did The Woman Who Fell to Earth, which isn't a surprise, because as I touched on in the first part of the discussion here, pilots are often about, these are your new Doctor, this is your new characters, your new companions, establishing, and not so much about the Doctor and what the Doctor does in her world. This one immediately drops the Doctor on to an alien planet, immediately drops the Doctor into a foreign situation, immediately tells what could be a brand new audience who's never checked out Doctor Who before exactly who the Doctor is. And by the end of the episode, you are very sure that the Doctor is very much still in need of all of her elements that we love from every incarnation of a Doctor. A being that's very sure of themselves, a being who ran away in time for a lot of reasons, and a being who needs other people to be better and make the universe a better place. Now, to close out, the interesting thing that happened is that the Dr. Skull, when activating the TARDIS at the end of this episode, was to get Yaz, Ryan, and Graham home. Yaz, Ryan, and Graham have not yet committed to being companions. They're not people who voluntarily have gone with the Doctor. Through the events of The Woman Who Fell to Earth and the Ghost Monument, they just have had no choice but to accompany the Doctor along on her journey. From what the trailer showed about the next episode, again, no spoilers, but from what the trailer showed about the next episode, that doesn't happen. And what we do see happen, Yaz is very excited about it. So I think this will be the episode that turns these three individuals, in Graham, Ryan, and Yaz, from individuals who just had the Doctor thrown in their lap to individuals who are very much excited about being a part of the Doctor and who she is turning them into full-fledged companions. So I'm very, very excited about what's to come. So hopefully I did a good job of just making this a discussion, of just hitting on points and telling you what I liked and disliked about the episode, telling you where the new direction and the new era is going without giving away much spoilers. So let me know what you thought now about the second episode as well. Be sure to let me know if there's anything I didn't touch on, any advice that you might have. Did I go too much in the non-spoiler territory? Did I not give enough discussion? Leave all of that in the comment section down below while you're there, please. If this was your first time here and you liked what you experienced today, then please consider hitting that round subscribe icon on your screen right now to never miss out on any of the future Geektastic fun, and check out my previous discussions on Doctor Who, as well as a theory that I had about the Doctor as well, because during the off season I tried to come up with theories. I didn't do too many of them last year because I didn't have too many original ideas, but I will try to do that in the off season this year a little bit more. I think that this new Doctor will present many more opportunities to do that. And as always, this has been your Razman's Reality Check.